Hello, guys. It's Bart Johnson here, and once again, it is Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, meaning it's time for us to go live and hang out for a while. And this is a special show because, as you may have noticed, it is now January of 2019. So this is our first live show of 2019, and we're going to be talking a little bit today about some of my personal plans for 2019, and hopefully you guys will join in as well and let me know what some of your plans are for 2019. So I'm not necessarily talking about like New Year's resolution type stuff, but specifically today we're going to be talking about how to remain, what did I say, creative, motivated, inspired, and productive as a filmmaker, YouTuber, artist, whatever you may be. Obviously, I'm more attuned to the filmmaker and YouTuber side. I mean, I am an artist as well, but so that's what I'm going to be talking about. But if you guys are in here hanging out today, the beauty of our live show, as always, is that it's live, meaning you guys can come on in, hang out with me, and we have our chat up here on the screen. So feel free to drop on in, say hey, let me know you're here hanging out, let me know where you're from, and if you have any plans for 2019 or tips that maybe I should try, and all that. So let's just go ahead and dive right into this. So this is going to be a show where we're going to mostly just be kind of hanging out and talking. I'm going to be sort of sharing some personal ideas and stuff with you guys. And there's a reason for that. Like, yeah, I'm very happy that 2019 is here. It's always nice to start a brand new year because you get like a fresh start. You know, I don't know why a date does that for us, but, you know, it's ingrained into us that we're like, all right, this is a new starting point. Let's turn some stuff over and try some stuff new. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because 2018 was a great year for me. A lot of great stuff happened. You know, we bought our first home, moved in here, got that all set up. I made some big advancements on the channel. I did a lot of cool projects, but 2018 also had some rough stuff in it. So rough personal stuff, which can always affect you creatively. But also there were some times where, you know, I had some creative blocks. I might have felt a little discouraged. I might have felt overwhelmed and, you know, might have sort of like locked up because there's just so much happening. And those are hard things to get past. And so I'm always trying to figure out new tools and new ways to help myself get past those things. And hopefully these tools and ideas will be helpful for you guys as well, because I think as artists and creators, we all at one time or another run into, whether it's a creative block or whether it's, you know, feeling like, what am I doing? Should I really be doing this? You know, those are natural things that can happen to us. And we need to be able to have the tools and the ability and the confidence to get ourselves out of that. So I chose those 4 terms that we're going to talk about today. You know, staying creative, staying motivated, staying inspired, and staying productive. So those are sort of the 4 things that I want to tackle in 2019. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start right with creative. So what happens a lot, and it happened to me in 2018, is, you know, I do a lot of work outside of this. I have my company, Bart Johnson Productions, and sometimes the work that I'm doing, I also work for another company as well. Sometimes the work isn't as creative as I would necessarily like. I have opportunities to have creative input and all that stuff, but, you know, sometimes if you're doing work for work, you know, even though it is, you know, camera related and I'm shooting and editing and stuff like that, sometimes it's easy to feel like the creativity is being sort of pulled out of that and maybe out of yourself. And so I had plans for 2018 to do some more passion projects and stuff like that, and I really actually didn't do it. So I want to try and re-up that goal for 2019, and I want to try and do some more passion projects. But not only that, I want to start doing some stuff that have just been kind of ideas in the back of my head forever, and I've already started doing that. So the first thing that I'm going to start doing, and I have already started doing, is kind of just experimenting. and shooting for fun and trying things that I've never tried before, you know, with no real objective or purpose, but just to kind of do it and play around with it. And so recently I released 2 videos on my channel where I did some filming with ultraviolet light and ultraviolet ink in a fish tank down in my studio. And you know, this was for nothing except that I've always wanted to do it, and I thought it'd be pretty cool to play around with. So there are links to those videos down below, but I want to also show you just a little bit of what I did. Like I said, this wasn't for a project. It wasn't for anything other than the fact that, you know what, I kind of want to do this. So you can check out those full videos down in the description down below, but I am going to go ahead and pull up our screen here. So here's my desktop. I have those pulled up. Here we go. So this is just a snippet to show you like kind of what I did. Let me make sure I have my computer audio up. I do, so you guys should be able to hear this. But this is just me, you know, working down in my basement with the fish tank, just playing with colors, playing with inks. Spent several days down there doing it. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun, and it yielded some really, really cool results. So this is what I was doing. You know, I was just injecting these inks under an ultraviolet light and sort of playing around with filming it in slow motion and all that stuff. And it was really cool. And I got a lot of satisfaction out of this. So let me show you guys real quick here. I see Mr. Sean Mark Nipper is here in the chat. Says, happy Saturday. Good to see you, Sean. Can't wait to see the kind of stuff that you're going to be putting out and working on in 2019. Here we go. So this was the end result video. I'm not going to show you all of it, but just some of the results from playing with that ultraviolet ink. So of course I do these ones where I give them, you know, deep names. But so this is some of the footage from that and how it ended up coming out, and I don't know, it's just really, really cool looking. So I was playing with these inks, I've said that, but yeah, so you get the idea. You know, I was going through, we'll just scrub through. Like I said, this whole video is available. There's a link in the description, and of course it's on my channel, but I mean, like, look at this. Like, that's just awesome. Cool. So yeah, so this was something that it wasn't for any purpose other than I wanted to do it. And I have a lot of those things that have popped into my mind every once in a while, and I've just sort of put them on the back burner. And I decided, I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to buy a fish tank, I'm going to buy these inks, and I'm going to go down there and do it. Now, I'm not saying you have to do exactly this, but the idea is that if you have an idea, try it out. Play with it, experiment with it. This one ended up being, I think, a success, but you know, maybe it's a failure and it's whatever, you move on, but at least you did it, and it keeps your creative juices flowing and stuff like that. And so that was kind of my intent with that. I've also started experimenting with 360-degree video, and if you guys are subscribers to the channel and follow along, and if you aren't, make sure you go ahead and do that down below and click that bell. You know, 360 video is something I've been experimenting with, and I'm finding really creative new ways to use it beyond just, you know, that whole, oh, someone can hold their phone and look around and pretend they're where you are. I'm actually finding really cool ways to utilize it in possible productions. And actually I have a job coming up where I think I'm going to be making use of my Insta360 1X camera, which I am working on a review of, guys. There's a lot that I want to get in there, so I am still working on that. Let's see here. Sean's saying, will you be selling your footage to any stock footage sites? You know, I might. That's a good point. You know, those sort of abstract colors of those inks and stuff could be good stuff for stock. So maybe I will look into that. I do upload from time to time stock footage to, I use video blocks, and they've been pretty good to me. So maybe I will make that available up on there, because it was time consuming and it turned out pretty cool, and you never know when someone might need that kind of abstract kind of look. But let's take a peek here. The other thing I'll show you, this is again also a video that's out on my channel right now. I think this one's a little bit louder, so I got the volume down. But I've been playing with 360 video, using it not in that sort of crazy view all over the place thing, but for 2D framed type stuff, and you can get some really cool stuff. So this is with the Insta360 I was down in Key West. Look at that, sporting a camera and a beer. That's the way I am there. But yeah, you could do this Tiny Planet stuff, which is kind of gimmicky, but the cool thing is that you can reframe and play with this stuff after the fact, so it's capturing everything, and then in the app in post I can direct it where to point the camera and where it goes, and it just gets this kind of floating effect. And so this was just testing and playing around, but I mean, where's one of the ones where it's like, yeah, like you can't see the thing. All of this will be in my my review when I do the review of this camera, but I see a lot of potential and a lot of possibilities for 360 video beyond just that gimmicky VR type experience. And so that's something I'm going to be playing with a little bit more too, because it's a new way of shooting that I have to think about differently. I have to think about, okay, the camera moves are going to act differently. I have different capabilities now that I'm capturing everything. And so that exercise of just making my mind think a bit differently about how I'm shooting, that alone I find really stimulating, and also has sort of opened up some new thought pathways for me about how to use this footage, how to shoot this footage. And I've even got more ideas beyond what I've done that I want to do. Again, maybe 360 video isn't the outlet for you, but the idea is to try something new, to check something out, to maybe try doing something that you've been doing forever in a different way, in order to keep yourself creative, keep things new, because you can get stuck in a rut very easily if you're just doing the same thing the same way over and over and over again. And yeah, maybe it works to do it the same way over and over again, but if you get an idea for something cool, try it out. And I plan on trying to do a lot more of those types of things in my professional work, and also, here on the channel is sort of my test bed, with all you guys, where when I do something that, seems as silly as playing with ultraviolet ink in my basement studio, then I can put it up here, and you guys are sort of a sounding board as to, what you think of it and all that kind of stuff. So, that's one of the things, to keep yourself creative, is to keep trying new stuff. And I know that's so cliche to say, like so cliche, but to really put it into practice is hard. And so that's something that I'm trying to get better at. If I have an idea, I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to make time to go and try it out. Because time is one of the things that I'm able to convince myself so easily that I don't have time to mess around. But if you're not messing around and having fun, then why are you doing this in the first place? So, gotta play with that a little bit. So I see Sonic Palette has joined here. He says, do you have any experience with the small HD? I bought a 702, but the mount on the bottom has a 1/4-20 with airy pins. All I can find is 3/8 with airy pins. You know what? This is an unstructured show. Why not? I welcome questions about absolutely anything, and I think I did the same thing that you did. The small HD 702s were on sale, like super sale, like a week or so ago, and I picked one up as well. I'd never had one before. And in case you're wondering, this is just a neoprene iPad mini, or just 8-inch tablet case, because Small HD does not make a suitable case besides this like hard case with pick and pluck foam for their monitors. And the Small HD 700 series fits in here perfectly. So yeah, I was really happy about that. Real cheap on Amazon. If you want, I can post a link in the description, or you can just go look for iPad mini neoprene case, and it should fit this monitor. So let's get this out of the way. So here's the 702 Bright, which you picked up as well. And so I guess you're talking about this here on the bottom, where it's a 1/4-20 and then has these two register pins. I don't see why you would absolutely need the register pins. I haven't looked for anything to mount. I was just planning on mounting it with the 1/4-20, just threading it onto a magic arm or friction arm, whatever you want to call them, and doing it that way. But I guess if you really needed those register pins, I don't know. I haven't looked into. Is that what that is? Is that Airy style with the 2 register pins? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked into that. Sorry, I can't give you an actual answer on that. But I mean, you should be fine with just threading in quarter 20 to it. I know they have cages and all sorts of stuff. Small Rig makes things that I think fit into the register pin, but it's part of as like a cage, and then you would just quarter 20 mount something to that. So, and yeah, I mean, you've got the same thing here too, and on both of the sides. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know of anything specific. This thing is super new to me, and the only thing I've bought for it so far is that case, which I'm very happy with. So, there we go. Let's see what we got here. Sean Mark Nipper is talking about 360. He says, I have the Wonder 360 S1 coming at some point in the next couple weeks. Have you looked into it? I have not. So my first foray into 360 video was with the Insta360 One. It just looked to be the best of the best at the time in terms of affordable, like prosumer stuff, like not the huge, crazy expensive stuff. And I liked it. It was good. I took it to Iceland and used it. There's a video on my channel. Actually, I think I have it in the link description down below. A link in the description down below where I used it in Iceland, and I did publish a video that was that like sort of VR experience where you can look around. But I liked the Insta360. I liked the way that their app worked and that you could do so much like with the app. And then the 360 One X replaced it, so I sold the One, got the X, and it has so many more features and so much better quality, and it's really cool. So I haven't looked at any other brand. I've been really happy with Insta360, especially with this One X camera. And you know what? I think I have the One X here too. Hang on. I think it's in this case here. So in case you guys haven't seen it, oh, there's husky hair all over it, of course. This is why stuff goes in cases in this house. Yep. So I got this little case, again, case off of Amazon. It's called Pro Case. It's like a dual level Pro Case electronics case. Perfect for cases and all my mounts and battery chargers and stuff. But yeah, so this is it. This is the 360 One X. It's got a replaceable battery. Not replaceable, but interchangeable. Removable battery. That's what I was looking for. While the other one, when it was dead, it was dead. You know, you can carry extra batteries for this. It's really nice. I really like this camera. So make sure to let me know, or pop onto Photo Joseph's channel or something like that, Sean, when you get that Wonder 360 S1, and let me know what you think of it. I'll take a peek at it as well. See, I'll look into it, because I honestly haven't looked into anything because I've been so happy with small HD. I was looking at the things with the Insta360. The One X is the excuse me, really good one. Sonic Palette says they are technically small HD pins. The Airy pins are a bit wider. Huh, so they made their own custom register pins, huh? Interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't looked into any accessories to strap on to those monitors, and I didn't really think I wanted a cage because they're built super tough. So I don't know. Sorry, I can't help with that. I'm not sure what would fit into those register pins with a quarter 20. Trevor is here. Good to see you, my man. Says, sup, Bart. Sup, Trevor. We went on a little bit of a tangent there in the chat, which is perfectly fine because I'm here to hang out with you guys and answer any questions you may have along the way. So any chat is good chat. And I do have a note. We usually don't need it because we usually have a pretty small group in here just hanging out, and I'm able to keep my eye on the chat. But if you do have something that you want to make sure that I see specifically to catch my attention, where is it? Right here, I have this note. Just do do like Sonic Palette did at the beginning there, and just do that at Bart Johnson Productions, and that way it shows up as orange on my screen, and I can see that someone's trying to get my attention. But, you know, usually we have a pretty small group hanging out and all that, so usually I can keep my eye on the chat pretty good as we're going along. Let's see, Trevor says, starting to hate thick cables. Have any recommendations for thin HDMI cables? Yes, I do. Hang on just a sec. So we'll take one more tangent. Let me pull it up here. Where is my... There we go. Ah, that's why. Hang on, let me pull up a screen here, and I'll show you what I usually use. So yes, our official topic of today is staying creative, motivated, inspired, and productive as a filmmaker in 2019. But I am happy to field questions along the way. What are they called? Are they Media Bridge? So let me show you what I'm doing here. I think they're Media Bridge Flex HDMI. Yes. So these guys, I love these right here. Yep, you can see I purchased some in 2012. Media Bridge Flex Series HDMI cables. They come in all sorts of lengths. I've got some that are like 6 inches, some that are 1 foot, some that are 3 foot, some that are 10 foot, some that are 6 foot. But they are HDMI 2.0. They do support 4K at 60 hertz, and I have actually used these with the Atomos Shogun Inferno and the 4K 60p from the GH5 to record. So I would look into these, the Media Bridge Flex series, because like I said, these work for that 4K 60 from the GH5 to the Atomos. Meanwhile, Atomos sells their own HDMI cable for like $100. But I did a lot of testing and found out that these guys work. So Media Bridge Flex Series HDMI cable. Check those guys out. And actually, I'll make a note in case anybody sees this and is interested. I will put a link to those down in the description. All right. And actually, what I just did right there is another point that I wanted to make is I'm going to try and keep a pen and paper near me at all times during this year. I'll probably pick up some sort of little notebook or something like that, just so that when an idea, no matter how outlandish and crazy it is, pops into my head, I can go ahead and write it down. You know, it might be nothing, but it might be something. And so who knows, maybe after a while, if I get stuck in a creative rut, I can pull up this notebook or this pad of paper or anything like that and flip through it and be like, oh yeah, that'd be a cool idea to try. And so you never know when that little like bolt of creativity is going to hit you. And so being able to write it down, I know we have our phones to jot notes down and all that stuff, but there's just something about having a pen and paper, something physical to just like free flow out of your head. I have this one at my desk here where I'm jotting ideas down. It's also helping me keep this show structured. You know, for as high tech as I am, sometimes low tech is the way I prefer to go. And so getting yourself something or some method for you to get those ideas out of your head, not like wait until you get home and try to remember to write it down or something like that, but getting them out of their head when you're, you know, grabbing coffee or something like that, or you're waiting in line at the DMV, or who knows when something's going to give you an idea, and then just have something like a notebook in your pocket or something that you can pull out and just jot down, maybe even just keywords, maybe not even a flushed out idea, you know? Sorry, all this talking drives me out. This thing was leaking a little bit there. There we go. But yeah, so I think that's going to be another great tool for me, and maybe a great tool for you guys as well, to stay creative in the new year. So that's something that I would give a try if you find yourself either forgetting ideas or almost convincing yourself to forget an idea. You know, when you get an idea of something and then you're able to so easily convince yourself to be like, nah, that wouldn't work. Why would I do that? That wouldn't be cool. Just write it down, leave it alone, and take a look at it later. maybe later that day, maybe a few months down the line. You never know. So I think that will be a really cool way to go. Kyle Markham is in here. Says just made it for the live show. Welcome, Kyle. We're going over some ideas for how to stay creative and everything in the new year. So if you have anybody has any ideas as well. Of course, I don't have all the answers. I'm just sharing what I'm going to try and do to avoid sort of creative ruts and productive ruts and all that kind of stuff. So if any of you have anything that you're going to try or ideas for me to try, please feel free to toss them out there, because who knows, they might be helpful to somebody else out there, either in the chat right now or anybody who watches later on. So the other thing, the second thing that I mentioned there was staying motivated. So staying motivated is something that I ran into issues with a lot last year. It just, sometimes I just couldn't get myself to go and do stuff. And so a lot of times it happened because I felt like I had too much to accomplish. Like I gave myself this giant list of things that I needed to do. And what really helps me to attack that kind of stuff, whether it be a whole bunch of projects or a whole bunch of steps in one project, is to break it down and take it one chunk at a time, because it's easier to just get started and then the ball starts rolling and it sort of naturally progresses, as opposed to, feeling unmotivated to go and tackle this giant thing. Another way for me to stay motivated, which seems crazy, is I'm going to give myself more things to do. And one of them, which ties in with also staying creative, is I haven't done these in probably like 3 years or so, but next weekend, I'm going to be participating in a 48-hour film competition. So I used to do these all the time, but I just got so busy, or convinced myself that I was so busy, that I stopped doing them. And so I'm really excited to be on board with a great team, and I'm going to be doing a 48-hour film competition where we have to create a film from start to finish in 48 hours. I'm going to be the director of photography on it. I'm really excited about it because it's been a while since I've done that sort of creative narrative filmmaking, and I think it's going to really motivate me to be creative and to go after more stuff like that. And hopefully, it's the little push that gets everything going to continue that ball rolling all throughout 2019. So, finding projects that'll put you in a sort of forced creative environment, if you will, that works for me. At first I was like, maybe this is too much for me to put on my plate. But now I'm like, no, this is going to be really cool. I'm really excited about it. So it'll be a good time. So we've got some other people popping up in the chat here. Let me pull it over so I can see with my old eyes. Wei Long Hoon says, joining the stream a little late, but throwing an idea into the ring relating to your notebook idea. Nice. I use Evernote to grab ideas and save work that I enjoy as future reference. Yeah, that is a great software and app because it's available across all your platforms. I tried using Evernote last year, and it's not Evernote's fault. I'm pretty sure it was my fault. I just didn't do a good enough job of forcing myself to use it. And it was great when I was using it, but I very quickly went back to my old ways of not using it. And so it just kind of sits there. But yeah, Evernote is great for compiling just quick ideas because it's available on your phone, it's available on your desktop, it's available on your tablet. And so usually you have one of those devices in front of you. And then if inspiration strikes, you can either type ideas into it or you can save articles or videos. It's just a huge pot to just dump ideas and stuff into, and then you can go in and organize it later. So yeah, Evernote is a really good one. So thanks for mentioning that. It didn't work for me. I'm going more with the pen and paper route for me personally, but that's just because I know that I sort of wasn't able to train myself to use Evernote the way that I had intended to. And it's going to take some training for me to stick to a notebook as well. Like anything, I'm trying to change a habit here that I had fallen into. So any of that's going to be difficult. Agree that not self-censoring at the start is a good way of working. Yeah, for sure. It's too easy to do, to dismiss your own ideas. And it's like, why would you do that to yourself? You know, you came up with the idea, so somewhere deep inside you want to try it, or at least develop it and see where it goes. So yeah, don't self-censor yourself. Everything, give everything its fair chance, every idea or every notion that you have. And yeah, they might not all be winners. They might not all be realistic. They might not all work out, but at least you gave it the attention and the thought process that it deserves. Kyle says, I do self videos when I have an idea for a short film or even a cool shot. Oh, cool. So yeah, so you not only, when you have the idea, you execute it in sort of a smaller format to go ahead and put it into practice. So yeah, that's even, one step further than just jotting an idea down. You're actually taking it to a level of execution. So that's awesome. That'd be a really cool thing. So I did that just now with the UV ink stuff. It was something where I had the idea, I agreed to entertain the idea, and then it was over sort of like the Christmas holidays where everyone was in that sort of twilight zone between Christmas and New Year's, where you're like, is it a work day? What time of day is it? What day of the week is it? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? I took advantage of that time, and that's when I pulled the trigger to just go into the basement and make the video happen. So it was pretty cool. And again, links to those, if you guys weren't in here, links to those are down in the description below. And I think they turned out really, really cool. I was really happy with the way that one turned out. Oh, you said selfie videos. Okay. So you, instead of jotting down or something like that, I took that down a whole different path, but even that other path right there is completely credible. So you just sort of record yourself sort of free-forming and talking out an idea or something. So it's a video mental note for yourself for later. That's a cool idea. Yeah. Awesome. Wei Long Hoon says, good luck with the 48-hour competition. Hope you get to share it here. Yeah, I'm working with some really, really cool people that I've worked with on other projects, and a lot of new people too, so I'm really excited. So yeah, I'll try and find a way and talk with them, and even if I can't like host it on my channel, I'll try and make sure to share it with you guys. On either in the community tab on here, so make sure you're subscribed to this channel so that you can access that community tab, or I'll I can probably make it available wherever it gets hosted on our Discord. So that's a perfect chance for me to tell you guys who may not know about our Discord server. So I have a link in the description down below to our sort of private Discord server. This is a 24/7 kind of chat that you guys can go ahead and join so that you can have access to me and to everybody else in the community whenever you need. So if you have something you want to share, something you want to ask, or anything like that, either ask of me or just put it out there for the others who may be in there. It's a community that I'm trying to get going and build up, and so we do have some members in there, and I do try and share stuff in there, and I think that'd be a perfect platform for me to share that when it comes up. So if you're interested, make sure and go and check out that Discord server down there. All right. So we're moving right along, but I want to talk a little bit about the next term, which was inspired. So inspiration is a weird thing. It can come from anywhere. You never know what's going to trigger you or inspire you or give you an idea. And so it's hard to predict how to keep yourself inspired. But what you can do is you can give yourself the best chance of being inspired. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to start consuming content that is not the normal stuff that I watch, enjoy, read, all that kind of stuff. So already I've been finding a lot of cool new YouTube channels, a lot that are science related, because I like science related stuff, and that probably had a lot to do with me messing with the ultraviolet. I love sciencey stuff, so I'm finding some really cool channels to check out and just experiments and fun stuff. And I've also started listening to some different podcasts that are some filmmaking related and some not. And a lot of them are, I'm really enjoying them because, I only consume filmmaking content usually. And so I'm hearing the same stuff from so many different people. But now I'm hearing all of these different topics that I don't know about and I'm learning about. And it's really helping me out, and I think it's going to be a good thing moving forward. One that I do want to mention is the guys over at Corridor Digital, Sam, Nico, all those guys. They've started a podcast, so they have it available in podcasting apps and platforms, but also, of course, a video version on YouTube. It's a new channel called Corridor Cast, and I think you should go and check it out because I went and started watching it thinking it was going to be just all filmmaking stuff, which would have been fine because I love their filmmaking stuff. But they've actually had some extremely interesting guests with extremely different backgrounds and extremely different topics. And I think they have like 8 episodes out, and I think I listened to like 5 of them back to back to back in like the first day that I started watching it. They were just so engaging and so interesting. And so I think finding new content and stuff like that and exploring stuff that's sort of out of your normal sphere of, not influence, but, out of your normal bubble, I think that can sometimes trigger ideas in ways that you wouldn't know and could, like I said, inspire you. Let me see here. Yep, mentioned the podcast. So that's something that I'm going to be doing is looking for other podcasts, outside of the filmmaking world to keep me as a well-rounded individual. Can't tunnel vision on filmmaking completely. There's so much out there else in the world. And the best artists pull stuff from other aspects of the world into their art form. And so that's something that I need to do more of. And maybe you do too. So let's see what we got in the chat here. Trevor says, I think this year I'm going to stop not doing things because I don't know the technique to do it. It's amazing how many Hollywood films invented ways to do this during the actual filming. Yeah, that is a good call. So that's another way to convince yourself not to do something is because you're like, oh, well, I don't know how to do it. Well, learn how to do it. It's you can go, there's so many resources and so much information out there. Not only will you be doing something you're interested in, but you're also potentially gaining a new skill for how to do that. So, I learned a lot shooting my UV light stuff. I had to problem solve. I was sitting there, I was like, how do I focus on a plane underwater where I can't see the object until it goes in? And so I made myself a little underwater focus chart out of a piece of acrylic that I could drop in and approximate and focus and all that. So there was problem solving involved, which I love problem solving. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. So many Hollywood films invented ways to do things. So they had the challenge of not only we don't know how to do this, they had the challenge of like, nobody knows how to do this. Like, we have to invent the procedure for doing this. And so maybe you'll have something like that. Maybe you have an idea that you're like, this has never been executed before. I need to devise a way to make this happen. So that's some like serious, even trailblazing stuff. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. Trevor says, I tend to shy away from things because I feel like it can't be done. Yeah, me too sometimes. Actually, me too a lot of times. I'll do that. I'll be like, it can't be done. Or even more, I convince myself I don't have the time to figure out how to get it done. And what I found with the ultraviolet was that there was a lot of work involved. There was a lot of stuff I didn't know. There was a lot of problem solving to be done. But the entire process, I loved the process of doing that and learning how to do it and making mistakes, because I made mistakes along the way. I loved that process just as much as the final result, if not more. So there is something to be said about that. Kyle's saying, I listen to How I Build This. It's a business podcast. Awesome. I'll check that out. business stuff is definitely something that I'm interested in. Obviously, I run a business here. Well, business as in it's just me, but it's a business in the sense that I have a product and a service, and I have clients, and subcontractors come in, and we travel and we do stuff and we make stuff. So that is always interesting to me. So I'll go ahead and check that out for sure. And we've got a book recommendation here from Way, Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. You found it super helpful as a reference to learn about how people deal with inner and outer expectations. Wow, that seems really cool. One of your best buys of 2018. Awesome. Thanks for recommending that. I will check that out just so I don't have to come back and peruse through the chat. I'm just going to make myself a note there. Four Tendencies. See? The pen and paper working already. Practicing what I preach. I'm off to a good start here. Thanks for that recommendation there. All right, so we went through creative and how I'm going to try and, not only let ideas come to me, but also not dismiss those ideas, and also how I'm going to try more experimenting and doing stuff just for the sake of doing it. So like the UV ink and experimenting with 360, I think these new avenues, especially 360, are going to allow me to find creative pathways and uses that there's no way I could possibly predict. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Stay motivated, meaning I'm going to keep working on stuff, and I've got the Baltimore, no, not the Baltimore one. That's the 48 I used to do. I've got a different 48-hour film competition that I'm about to do. So I think being in that pool of other creative people with a deadline, and like we have to really be creative and work, I think that'll keep me motivated and going. At least onto, the next thing that I try and take on like that. We talked about consuming new types of content that maybe aren't your norm to try and find inspiration and stay inspired, because you never know where it's going to come from. And so the last thing I want to talk about is staying productive. So, of course, none of this is going to help you if you can't stay productive, if you can't manage your time, if you can't actually get these things done, then yeah, it's all theoretical. So I always try and remain as productive as possible, but admittedly sometimes I get kind of stuck and feel overwhelmed, and that's because I haven't necessarily managed everything properly. So I have been implementing some new time management tools. I actually started doing this at the end of 2018, and it has already helped me so much. I'm using tools just as simple as a calendar, a really detailed calendar where I put stuff in like hour by hour. I'm like, work on this project from 1 to 2, work on this project from 2 to 4, take a break at 4 until 5, and then do this. So structuring it, and this is for me personally, structuring it down to that level of detail has helped me quite a bit. And then the other thing is I can sync that calendar with all of our Amazon, I won't say her name because she'll hear me right now, devices around the house, and we have a few of the ones that have the screens. So we have one in the kitchen, I have one here at my desk, and it syncs to my calendar, so at a glance I can see during the day. I'll be like, oh, at 1 o'clock I'm supposed to be working on that. And no one has set this schedule for me but me, but it really helps me to stay on track and manage my stuff. And so I'll go in like a month at a time and like map out what I can, obviously. I mean, some stuff comes in and later and you need to fit it in. But I found that going down to that level of detail really helps me. And also having those constant reminders of where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing is really helpful. And then just making lists, good old-fashioned lists. I make myself a list for every day of the sort of smaller things that I don't need to structure a time for it, but that needs to get done that day. And so I'll just use like the reminders app in Mac. I keep that open all the time because it shows up on all my devices. So my desktop, my iPad, my phone, whatever, my watch, whatever I've got on me, it pops up and I can access it and I can cross stuff off. And nothing feels better than crossing something off a list. So I'm talking like small stuff like take the trash out. Remember to put these, the tax 1099 forms in the mailbox for the mailman. So I don't need to schedule times for those, but it gives me a list to check through for that day, and it really helps me to get everything done, stay productive, and do my stuff. So who knows? Maybe that'll help you too. So I'm funny because I'm a very, very organized and detail-oriented person, but I'm also very, very capable of convincing myself to ignore that. So I can have a day structured up, but I can convince myself that, oh, it's okay to procrastinate a bit today. Let's push that one off to that, and let's move that one to Friday. Let's move, like, I made this schedule because I know it works, and because I know I'm not going to pile work up on myself at like the end of a week or before a deadline or something. Like, why don't I listen to myself? So I'm going to work on sticking to the schedules that I set for myself. I am my own worst enemy. I'm able to, like, my own devil and angel on my shoulder here being like, it's cool, man. Like, you can take today off. It's, it's fine. No, it's not fine. So let's see what we've got here in the chat. Trevor says, do you ever give yourself timed challenges? Photographers sometimes do like a 10-minute challenge. You have to get some sort of shot in the wild in 10 minutes. So almost like time technique building. So I haven't done any time challenges personally for myself, but in terms of time challenges, like the Baltimore, why do I keep saying Baltimore? The 48-hour film competition that I'm about to do, I mean, that is a timed challenge. But for smaller ones, I have not tried doing that. Maybe that's an exercise that'd be kind of cool to check out. Like, all right, you have 10 minutes to put together like a cool little B-roll segment in like the kitchen or something like that. I know Peter McKinnon had like a B-roll challenge that a lot of people enjoyed. Like, take something boring and make it awesome. But yeah, putting a time restraint on that could be cool. So maybe I'll look into that. That's a cool idea. Let's see here. Interesting point. It says it frees you from feeling like you have to do something to completion too. Okay. So it's like you're going to work on this, you're going to do your best in 10 minutes and then leave it alone. That's interesting. Yeah, so if like you have trouble really like letting something go and just diving into it, and then maybe at the expense of other things that you need to do, yeah, maybe that'd be a good exercise to help yourself kind of be like, hey, it's okay to put something on pause and move along and walk away. That's interesting. Cool. That's a cool technique. I might give that a shot. Maybe you guys will see a new playlist on my channel here of my own personal 20-minute challenge of B-roll in my car or whatever I decide to come up with, and then I'll of course post and share those things and show you guys. So that's a cool idea, man. I appreciate that. This last one for staying productive and time management stuff really applies to me, and it may apply to some of you guys. This is really for people who work from home, whether you're self-employed, whether you're working for another company or anything like that. You need to set yourself start and stop times. So I used to be really, really bad about this, because the danger is that when you're working from home, you're always at work, but you're always also at home, if that makes any sense. It's like you're always at work, but you're also always not. So your day sort of is just flowing. We're like, oh, you pop in, do a little bit of work, and then you go and do something else and hang out, and then you come in and do a little bit more work, and the next thing you know, it's like 10 p.m. and you're still doing work stuff, and you can't do that. So what I find is that you need to set yourself office hours, and it helps if you have a dedicated office, which I do. It's like this room. When I come in here, it's like I know I've got work to do during the day. My dogs absolutely hate it because they're like, what are you doing? Like, well, let's go play or something. And I'm like, no, like I'm working on a project. I'm here. I'm at work right now. And then I can walk out of this room and potentially be like, all right, that's the end of my work day. the reality is that I still stay in here. I'll watch a movie or something in the evening. I'll watch some TV shows. I'll watch some YouTube. I'll prep stuff for the YouTube channel, which is one of my like 3 jobs basically. But setting yourself times where it's like 9 a.m. I'm starting work. I may be at home, but I'm at work. And then, all right, noon, I take a lunch break. Grab lunch, step away. And then, 5 p.m., we're done. Whatever project I'm working on for work, it's like, all right, let's find a good stopping point. Let's wrap this thing up. So that's really, really important. I used to be horrible at it. There was no rhyme or reason to the time of day for me and what I was working on or what I was doing. I was working on stuff till like 2, 3 in the morning. And it was just like, my wife hated that I was always in this room. It wasn't this room, it was a similar room, but at our old place. And it's just like, you're always in there. So you gotta break that up. She works a normal 9 to 5 where she's gone during the day and then she comes home at the end. So it would be nice if I was also done with work for the day so that we could actually like see each other and all that. But I wasn't doing that. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of, just hung out and did not much during the day. I didn't really start working until about 4, so I'm going to be in here until like 10 p.m. working on stuff. Not awesome. Still happens from time to time when I get bogged down with like a lot of stuff because, again, poor time management. But for the most part, I try and stay away from that. So there you go. There's a deep personal insight into that. And if you if you work from home or work for yourself or anything like that, maybe you run into the same kind of issues. So let me know if that's helpful to you, and maybe if you have some other techniques for keeping yourself to that schedule, because you do need a schedule. It's too weird and too easy to let these two worlds overlap, work and home, when they are the same physical location, if that makes any sense. All right, let's see what we got in the chat here. Talking about that book regarding 4 tendencies and the rescheduling. Try taking the quiz. It's online and in the book. Ooh. One of the 4 archetypes is the questioner, who needs a strong reason they believe in to act on it. Interesting. So there's a quiz along with it. I'm really interested in this book now. Questioners often need to satisfy their need for information and justification to get things to stick. That kind of sounds like me. Not gonna lie. And then he says, by the way, I love Baltimore. Spent 6 months living there a couple years back. Enjoy the time there. So it's funny. I used to live in Northern Virginia, in Falls Church, like 5 miles outside of D.C., but in Northern Virginia, where I'm from. But yet, in those days when I lived in Virginia, I always used to do the Baltimore 48-hour film competition. And now we've moved to Maryland, and I'm about 30 minutes away from Baltimore, and I'm going all the way to Richmond, Virginia to do a 48-hour film competition. So yeah, it's just the timing and the opportunity came up and all that. But I think it's kind of funny that I'm like, oh yeah, let's find one that's not anywhere near where I live, and I'll go and do that. So yeah. So anyway, guys, we are right about the 53-minute mark. It looks like here. So I usually don't like to keep you guys for more than an hour. I really appreciate all you guys who have been hanging out in the chat. We got some great input, some great stuff to check out. I'm definitely going to take a look at that book, 4 Tendencies. That seems pretty cool. But if you guys come up with any ideas or anything you want to share after this stream is done, you can, of course, put it in the comment section down below. And if you guys weren't able to join us live and you are seeing this as a replay, feel free to pop into those comments and keep the conversation going. Or, of course, as I mentioned, I'm always available through the Discord chat. There is a link down in the description below. And make sure you like and subscribe and click the notification bell and all those other things that every YouTuber begs you to do every time. But no, for reals, it'll let you know when I'm going live, and so you guys can hang out in the chat here with me. And again, I do appreciate you guys who were in here today. You were awesome. I do want to mention that because I'm doing that 48-hour film competition, we will not be having a live show next Saturday. I will be on my way back from that project and will be utterly exhausted, I am sure. So we won't have anything next week, but we will be back the following week. I have already posted what we're going to do for that video, but we're going to be looking a little bit more into that 360 video, and I'm going to share my workflow for editing the Insta360 video, both with the mobile app, with their desktop app, and more importantly, how to handle it in Adobe Premiere, and also some awesome VR plugins that you can use to handle that type of footage in Premiere. So that's going to be 2 Saturdays from now, guys. That's when we'll be back. Yeah, I will see you guys then. Wish me luck on the I almost said Baltimore again. Man, I can't get it. Wish me luck on the 48-hour film competition. That's what I'll be doing next Saturday while you guys are hanging out and enjoying. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks when we come back. Thanks again, guys. You guys take care.